Last week, I examined 40 dogs that all looked perfectly healthy, but 33 of them were silently suffering, and their owners had no idea. Arthritis, obesity, dental disease, all preventable. After more than 15 years treating dogs, I've learned this: they hide pain better than you think. And most owners are making at least 10 of these 20 deadly mistakes. Mistake number 5 alone could steal 3 years from your dog's life. So, let's get started. Mistake 1. The walk deprivation. You think letting your dog out into the backyard is enough. They run, they sniff the grass, they do their business. Problem solved, right, wrong. What you've given them is a bathroom, not a life. A yard is the same 4 walls of smells, the same patch of dirt, day after day. To your dog, it's like being locked in a single room for years, staring at the same wallpaper with no new books, no new faces, no new adventures. Dogs were born to walk. Their ancestors roamed miles each day, hunting, tracking, patrolling territory. Movement isn't optional, it's who they are. A walk is more than exercise. It's therapy. It's discovery. It's the news channel of the canine world. Every scent tells a story. Every stoplight is a novel. Every gust of wind is a new headline. Deny them this, and you deny them their mind. The consequences are devastating. Bored, restless dogs turn destructive. Chewed shoes, shredded couches, non-stop barking. Obesity creeps in. Arthritis stiffens joints. Depression dulls their eyes. That sigh you hear when they collapse on the floor? It isn't contentment. It's resignation. The fix is simple, but it demands your commitment. 2 walks a day, structured and intentional. Not just a quick pee break, but time to move, to sniff, to connect. Change the route, let them explore. Sniffing is brain work as vital as running. The leash isn't a chore, it's a lifeline. And if you think skipping a walk is harmless, wait until you hear about the next mistake, the one hiding in your dog's food bowl. Mistake 2. The free feeding trap. That always full food bowl sitting on your kitchen floor feels like love. It feels like security. You tell yourself he'll eat when he's hungry. But here's the truth. Dogs aren't self-regulating monks. They're opportunistic scavengers. In the wild, they gorge when food appears because they never know when the next meal will come. That instinct never left their DNA. By leaving food out all day, you're not showing kindness. You're setting a slow trap. Each careless bite is another step toward disaster. Obesity creeps in quietly, 1 pound at a time, until your once playful dog struggles to climb the stairs. Extra fat strains, their heart crushes their joints, and sets fire to their pancreas. Diabetes doesn't knock politely, it arrives with needles, insulin shots, and a shortened life. A dog just 2 pounds overweight is carrying the human equivalent of 30. Imagine lugging a heavy backpack every day of your life with no way to take it off. That's your dog's reality. But there is a way out. Ditch the endless buffet. Feed measured portions, 2 or 3 scheduled meals a day. Make it ritual. Make it predictable. Your dog's body thrives on rhythm, not chaos. They'll complain, at first whine, beg, manipulate, but remember this: you can endure a few weeks of noise, or you can endure losing them years too soon. And if you think free feeding is deadly, wait until you discover what you're forgetting in that water bowl. It's a mistake, so common your dog may already be paying the price. Mistake 3. The water bowl neglect. You top it off once in a while, maybe rinse it when it looks cloudy, and think you've done your job. But to your dog, that slimy bowl in the corner is less a source of life and more a swamp. Imagine being thirsty and only finding a glass coated with grease, yesterday's spit still clinging to the sides. That's what your dog faces every single day. Dogs may not complain, but bacteria never sleep. Within hours, that bowl becomes a breeding ground of invisible film biofilm that harbors E. coli mold and yeast. Every sip carries germs straight into your dog's gut, whispering sickness into their bloodstream. Upset stomachs, chronic infections, and weakened immunity don't appear overnight. They creep in silent and steady until one day you're sitting in a vet's office, wondering why your healthy dog can't stop vomiting. And then there's the other silent killer, dehydration. Many dogs avoid drinking when water tastes stale or foul. Dehydration stresses kidneys, thickens blood, and accelerates organ decline. It doesn't show in dramatic signs. At first, it hides in subtle fatigue, dry gums, a dull coat. By the time thirst becomes obvious, damage has already begun. The fix, as simple as it is urgent. Wash the bowl daily with hot, soapy water. Replace standing water with fresh, clean water morning and night. Stainless steel over plastic. Flowing fountains when possible. Your dog's body is 70% water. Don't poison their river. And if dirty water shocks you, wait until we talk about the teeth inside your dog's mouth, because what's rotting there could be killing them from the inside out. Mistake 4. The forgotten teeth. Open your dog's mouth if you dare. Behind that wagging tongue and eager grin, there's often a battlefield you've ignored for years. Rotten gums, yellowed teeth, and hidden pockets of infection, turning every meal into silent agony. And yet your dog keeps eating because survival runs deeper than comfort. They chew through the pain, masking it with loyalty, while decay spreads like fire through their veins. Here's the truth. No one tells you by age 3, nearly 80% of dogs suffer from periodontal disease. Bacteria from infected teeth slip past swollen gums and enter the bloodstream. From there, it travels mercilessly, attacking the heart, scarring the kidneys, damaging the liver. That foul dog breath you laugh off? It's not bad hygiene, it's infection signaling systemic failure. Every day you dismiss it, another organ is under siege. The cruelty lies in invisibility. Dogs are masters of hiding pain. They'll fetch, they'll wag, they'll greet you at the door, even with abscessed teeth throbbing like knives. By the time you notice drooling, pawing at the mouth, or refusing kibble, years of suffering have already passed. But the solution is in your hands. Brush daily, even if just for a minute. Start with toothpaste, made for dogs, not human formulas laced with fluoride. Schedule professional cleanings before disease takes root. Offer dental chews and toys designed to scrape away plaque. And if you think a dirty mouth is deadly, wait until you see what a single mosquito bite can do. Because mistake number 5. Doesn't just hurt, it can kill. Mistake 5. Skipping heartworm prevention. You look at your dog curled up safely indoors and think, he doesn't need it, he never goes far. But danger doesn't knock. It flies in through an open window on silent wings. One mosquito bite. That's all it takes to inject microscopic assassins into your dog's bloodstream. They swim, they grow, and then they take root in the very heart that beats for you. Heartworms don't stay small. They grow into spaghetti-length killers, filling arteries, clogging chambers, suffocating the lungs. Imagine a garden hose twisted and stuffed with weeds until water can no longer pass through. That's your dog's circulation on heartworms. The coughing, the fatigue, the collapse. It doesn't begin until the infestation is massive. By the time symptoms appear, the damage is already carved deep. Treatment is brutal, expensive, and often too late. Here's the cruelest truth. This isn't rare. In the United States alone, thousands of dogs die each year from something preventable. And mosquitoes don't discriminate. They hitch rides into your home. They bite once, and your dog becomes a host. Indoor-outdoor, it makes no difference. The solution is heartbreakingly simple. Monthly prevention. Pills, topicals, injections, whichever your vet recommends. Pennies a day compared to thousands for treatment. More importantly, prevention spares your dog agony you'll never see coming until it's too late. And if parasites in the blood horrify, you wait until we move deeper, because the next mistake isn't hiding inside their veins, it's hiding inside your own medicine cabinet. Mistake 6. The human medicine disaster. You love your dog like family, so when he limps or cries out, your first instinct is to help. You reach for the same pills that soothe your own pain: ibuprofen, acetaminophen, aspirin. You crush them, hide them in food, and think you've done something kind. But what you've given isn't relief. It's poison disguised as mercy. Dogs don't process drugs the way humans do. Their livers and kidneys lack the filters we take for granted. A single tablet of ibuprofen can burn holes in their stomach lining, cause internal bleeding, or shut down their kidneys. Acetaminophen, harmless to you, can destroy a dog's liver within hours. What starts as a simple act of love can end with vomiting seizures or the unbearable silence of a body that simply stops. The tragedy is how fast it happens. Owners bring in dogs too late insisting, but it was just one pill. They don't see how toxins work, silent, relentless, invisible. The price of guessing is not discomfort, it is death. The truth is, your dog doesn't need your medicine. He needs his own. Pain relief, flea prevention, antibiotics. They exist, but they are made for dogs, measured for dogs, safe for dogs. Only your vet knows the dose that heals instead of kills. And if you think one pill can destroy a life, wait until you realize what's been happening in your dog's joints every single day. Because mistake number 7 isn't fast and violent. It's slow, creeping, and just as cruel. Mistake 7. Ignoring joint health. You see your dog spring onto the couch, chase a ball, or trot proudly by your side, and you think he's invincible. Strong, agile, unbreakable. But joints don't scream when they first begin to fail. They whisper. A tiny hesitation before climbing stairs. A moment of stiffness after a nap. And when you dismiss those whispers, arthritis moves in like a thief stealing mobility piece by piece, until even standing feels like a battle. Dogs are athletes by design. Their ancestors ran for survival, their bodies tuned for endurance. But in our homes, on our slick floors, with our endless games of fetch, those same joints endure impacts nature never planned. Cartilage erodes bones, grind, inflammation flares. Imagine 2 stones rubbing together day after day until sparks fly. That's your dog's knees and hips with every neglected step. The cost isn't just pain, it's stolen years. Dogs with untreated joint disease lose joy long before they lose life. They withdraw, they stop playing, they age decades in a single season. Owners mistake it for slowing down, but in reality, it's silent suffering. The solution begins before you see the limp. Omega-3s to fight inflammation, glucosamine to protect cartilage, controlled exercise to build strength without strain. Rugs over slick tiles, ramps instead of jumps, soft bedding for tired bones. These aren't luxuries, they're lifelines. And if you think stiff joints are cruel, wait until you see what happens when the mind itself begins to starve. Because mistake number 8 doesn't attack the body first, it attacks the soul. Mistake 8. Starving the mind. You look at your dog curled on the floor for hours and sigh. He's such a calm boy. But stillness isn't always peace. Sometimes it's surrender. Dogs were born hunters, trackers, problem solvers. Their brains are wired for puzzles, their noses built to map entire worlds from a single breeze. Deny them stimulation, and you don't get serenity. You get silent decay. Picture an Olympic athlete locked in a cell with no ball, no track, no team, just four walls. Days blur into nights until muscles weaken, focus fractures, and the will to move disappears. That's your dog without enrichment. The result isn't just boredom. It's a slow descent into madness, obsessive licking that strips fur-chewing furniture until gums bleed, barking at shadows that aren't there. Anxiety, aggression, depression. These aren't quirks. They're symptoms of a starving mind. The good news? The cure isn't complicated. 15 minutes of play twice a day. A puzzle feeder that turns dinner into a hunt. A simple game of hide and seek, letting their nose guide them to hidden treats. Rotate toys, open windows to the world, let them sniff trails of scents only they can read. Mental exercise drains energy as powerfully as a run, leaving them satisfied, balanced, alive. And if you think boredom is deadly, wait until you realize the very tools you may use to control that restless energy could be breaking your bond forever. Because mistake number 9 doesn't just punish behavior, it punishes trust. Mistake 9, harsh training methods. You want obedience, you want control. And somewhere someone told you the way to get it was through fear. A yank of the choke chain, a shock from the collar, a voice raised like thunder. For a moment it works. The dog stops. He freezes. He submits. But what you mistake for respect is not respect at all. It's fear, a fear that carves invisible cracks through the bond you swore was unbreakable. Dogs learn through association. When correction is pain, they don't think I did wrong. They think my human hurts me. Each jolt rewires trust into terror until the leash becomes a noose, and your presence becomes a shadow they flinch from. And fear has a half-life. It mutates into anxiety, aggression, or silence so deep it looks like compliance, but feels like a broken spirit. Positive reinforcement isn't softness, it's science. Reward builds repetition, just as punishment builds avoidance. A treat for a sit, praise for a stay, play for a recall, these teach with joy instead of dread. Dogs don't need domination. They need guidance. They don't need to be broken. They need to be built. So the question isn't whether harsh training works. The question is what it costs: the light in your dog's eyes, the trust in his heart, the safety of everyone around him. And if you think broken trust is tragic, wait until you see what happens when you deny your dog the world itself. Because mistake number 10 begins not with cruelty, but with absence. Mistake 10. Skipping socialization. You think your dog doesn't need it? He's friendly enough, you say, watching him wag at family and curl up on the couch. But the world beyond your living room is a storm he's never learned to weather. Every new sound, every stranger, every dog on the sidewalk becomes a lightning bolt striking his nerves. Without socialization, the world isn't exciting. It's terrifying. Dogs are pack animals sculpted by evolution to read body language, navigate hierarchies, and find safety in numbers. When you deny them exposure, you cut them off from their native language. Fear of the unknown hardens into reactivity, lunging at other dogs, growling at guests, trembling in the vet's office. These aren't bad behaviors. They're cries for help from a mind that never learned the rules of the larger pack. The tragedy is how preventable it is. Safe, structured introductions to people, dogs, and places during puppyhood build resilience for life. But even adult dogs can learn. Short trips to dog-friendly parks, calm greetings with trusted dogs, slow exposure to noises and crowds. These are lessons in courage, one experience at a time. The goal isn't chaos, it's confidence. Socialization doesn't mean forcing your dog into every situation. It means teaching them the world isn't a battlefield, it's a place they can explore with you at their side. And if the outside world can be overwhelming, so too can what you're feeding from your own hand. Because mistake number 11 hides behind a smile and a treat, and it tastes like love, but acts like poison. Mistake 11. The treat addiction. You think you're showing love when you slip your dog one more biscuit, one more chewy strip, one more handful of store-bought treats. His eyes sparkle, his tail wags, and for a moment, it feels like happiness. But beneath that joy hides a darker truth. You aren't rewarding your dog. You're turning him into a junk food addict. Treats are engineered to hijack instincts. Salt, fat, artificial flavors, each bite lights up the brain like fireworks, demanding more, more, more. In nature, a wolf's reward was the hunt itself, lean meat, nutrient-rich organs, survival fuel. Your dog's DNA still craves that balance. But instead, you've given him the canine equivalent of fast food, and his body is paying the price. Every extra treat is a calorie his body doesn't need. Over time, those calories stick to his waistline, dragging down joints, inflaming organs, and suffocating his heart. Diabetes, arthritis, liver disease. They don't arrive with fanfare. They creep in quietly, one snack at a time, until the dog you love can barely move, can barely breathe. The very gifts you thought kept him happy may one day cost him years of life. The solution isn't to stop rewarding, it's to reward wisely. Use single-ingredient options like freeze-dried meat. Break treats into tiny pieces. Better yet, use his own kibble during training. Let love fuel his life, not shorten it. And if you think food is the only hidden danger, look closer at what you strap around his neck. Because mistake number 12 jingles with every step, and it could choke away the very silence dogs were born to own. Mistake 12. The collar catastrophe. You clip it on without a thought. A collar with a shiny buckle, maybe even a cute bell dangling like jewelry. It looks harmless, stylish part of your dog's identity. But to your dog, it can be a silent noose, tightening, choking, or jingling away every shred of peace. Dogs weren't born with metal strapped to their throats. Their tracheas are delicate, their necks packed with nerves and blood vessels. Every yank on that collar is pressure against life itself. Imagine being pulled by your throat day after day until coughing becomes normal and scar tissue builds where air should flow. That stubborn puller isn't disobedient. He's suffocating. And the bell? To you, it's cute. To him, it's torment. A constant ringing every step, every shake of the head, a cruel soundtrack that shreds silence, the very essence of his predator's soul. Even worse, collars catch. On fences, on crates, on furniture. One moment of struggle, one wrong twist, and the collar becomes a trap that kills within minutes. The solution is simple but urgent. Use breakaway collars indoors, or, better yet, microchip for safety. For walks, trade choke chains and prongs for harnesses that protect the chest, not strangle the neck. Let identification and control exist without cruelty. And if you think a collar's risk is terrifying, wait until you glance around your home. Because mistake number 13 doesn't sit on your dog. It hides in your living room waiting to poison him with every breath. Mistake 13. The grooming neglect. You stroke his fur and feel softness, but beneath that glossy surface may be knots, tightening like ropes, nails curling like claws into his own flesh, ears harboring silent infections. Grooming isn't vanity, it's survival. Yet too many owners treat it as optional, as though nature will take care of what captivity complicates. In the wild movement, kept nails filed against rock and soil. Constant activity shed dead fur and cleaned skin. But in our homes, on polished floors and padded couches, nature's tools are gone. Nails grow unchecked until each step feels like walking on daggers. Mats pull skin tight, trapping moisture, breeding bacteria, burning like constant blisters. Ears dark and warm become caves for yeast, and mites spreading pain masked by wagging tails and loyal eyes. And then there's the mouth. When fur mats around lips, when dirt cakes under paws, when anal glands swell because no one noticed, your dog isn't just uncomfortable. He's suffering in silence every moment, a small cruelty from neglect disguised as love. The solution is commitment. Regular brushing nail trims before they click on tile ear checks with gentle cleaners. Grooming isn't just hygiene, it's communication. It's your hands telling your dog, I see you. I care for every part of you. And if grooming neglect robs comfort, the next mistake robs protection at the deepest level. Because mistake number 14 isn't about what you forgot to clean. It's about what you chose not to defend, leaving your dog vulnerable to diseases he should never face. Mistake 14. The vaccination gamble. You think you're protecting him. Every year, another shot, another needle, another sigh of relief. Or maybe you think the opposite. He never leaves the house, so why bother? Both roads lead to the same cliff-edge risk born of ignorance, not intention. Vaccines save lives, but when misused, too many, too few, they carve hidden dangers into the very body you swore to protect. In the wild, disease shaped survival. Rabies, parvo, distemper, silent executioners that struck without warning. Vaccines were the miracle that broke their grip. But balance matters. Over-vaccination is like sounding the fire alarm every day until the system burns out. The immune system grows weary, allergic reactions flare, autoimmune storms rise. Yet skipping core vaccines is equally fatal. A single nose-to-nose greeting at the park, a paw step where another dog once sneezed, and an unprotected pet falls to an invisible enemy. The tragedy, both mistakes, stem from the same place, assuming. Assuming your neighbor's dog is safe. Assuming more shots equal more safety. But biology doesn't honor assumptions, it punishes them. The solution isn't fear, it's precision. Follow a vet's tailored plan. Core vaccines for life-threatening diseases. Tighter testing to measure immunity before giving more. Protection when it's needed, restraint when it's not. The goal isn't needles or neglect, it's balance. And if needles sound frightening, they are nothing compared to the toxins that seep through paws every time your dog walks across your floor. Because mistake number 15 hides not in a syringe, but in your own cleaning cabinet. Mistake 15. The chemical minefield. You mop the floors, spray the counters, light a candle, and breathe in the lemon-scented promise of cleanliness. To you, it's home. To your dog, it's a minefield. Every paw step across bleach-soaked tiles, every breath near a diffuser, every lick of fur after lying on a polished floor, tiny doses of poison seep quietly inside. You don't see it. You don't smell it. But his liver does. Dogs are smaller, their systems stripped of the defenses we rely on. Phenols in disinfectants, essential oils in natural sprays, fumes from polish and detergents all slip past his filters, building damage one molecule at a time. The coughing you dismiss, the sudden drooling, the lethargy after cleaning day, these aren't quirks, they're warnings. His body is fighting what you've unknowingly unleashed, and the cruelty is how invisible it feels. A freshly cleaned house, shining wood, sparkling glass. Yet to him every surface is coated with danger. Paws absorb toxins like sponges. Grooming drags them straight into his stomach. What you call spotless, his body calls toxic. The solution lies not in giving up hygiene, but in redefining it. Switch to pet-safe cleaners, vinegar-based solutions, enzyme sprays. Ditch the chemical arsenal in favor of simplicity. Fresh air is cleaner than any candle. Safety smells less like lemon and more like nothing at all. And if the air inside your home can betray him, what happens when the air outside turns deadly? Because mistake number 16 waits in the heat of summer and the frost of winter, and it doesn't take months to kill. It takes minutes. Mistake 16. The temperature betrayal. You step outside on a summer afternoon, feel the heat sting your skin, and retreat back into air conditioning. But your dog, he has no escape from his fur coat. Leave him in a parked car, even with the windows cracked, and you've locked him inside an oven. Within 10 minutes, the temperature can soar past 100 degrees. His tongue lolls, his chest heaves, and his organs begin to cook from the inside out. By the time you return, it's not an emergency. It's a tragedy. And in winter, the cruelty flips. A walk on icy pavement may seem harmless, but each paw pad presses against frozen ground until cracks split open and blood seeps onto snow. Short-haired breeds tremble under frostbite's bite. Seniors stiffen as arthritis turns every step into agony. You wear coats, gloves, boots. He wears only trust. Dogs can't regulate extremes the way we can. They pant to cool, they curl to conserve. But nature gave them no switch for human-made climates. Every summer and winter, thousands collapse, not from old age, not from fate, but from neglect. The solution is vigilance. Never leave him in a car. Walk at dawn or dusk in heat, provide water and shade. In cold use, coats for vulnerable breeds, limit time outside, protect paws with balm or boots. Comfort isn't luxury, it's survival. And if you think weather is merciless, wait until you realize how silence can be deadlier still. Because mistake number 17 isn't about heat or frost. It's about what happens when you stop listening to the signals your dog tries to give. Mistake 17. The silent checkup. You take your dog to the vet when he limps, when he vomits, when something looks wrong. But by the time pain breaks through his mask, the disease has already written its story deep inside his body. Dogs are masters of disguise, hiding weakness the way their ancestors once hid it from predators. That wagging tail, that eager bark can camouflage cancer, kidney failure, heart disease, until it's too late to fight back. Imagine driving a car and never lifting the hood. The engine sputters, the oil burns, the warning lights flash, but you ignore them until smoke pours out. By then, repair is impossible. Your dog's body is no different. Annual exams are the hood lifted, the lights checked, the silent whispers of disease caught before they roar into catastrophe. Inside that exam room, vets listen for murmurs. In the heart, feel for lumps hidden under fur, test blood, for signals of organs quietly failing. It's not routine. It's rescue disguised as prevention. One simple visit can add years of life, years of walks, years of love. The solution is non-negotiable. Annual wellness checks twice a year for seniors. Blood work, dental exams, vaccinations tailored to need. Preventive medicine isn't overcaution, it's foresight. Every year you skip is a gamble, and the house always wins. And if missing a vet visit seems harmless, wait until you see the damage caused, not by neglect, but by love misapplied. Because mistake number 18 often begins with play and ends with permanent pain. Mistake 18. The puppy workout myth. You see your puppy bursting with energy, legs flying, tail spinning, and you think, more is better. So you throw the ball again, take longer walks, push those tiny joints like they belong to an adult athlete. But puppies aren't built for marathons. They're built for growth. And growth demands patience, not punishment. Inside those wiggling legs are bones, still soft cartilage, still fragile joints, still stitching themselves together. Every leap off the couch, every endless fetch session slams those fragile parts like hammers on wet clay. The damage doesn't shout today, it whispers into the future. By the time arthritis grips at 3 years old, by the time hips grind bone on bone, the link back to overexertion in puppyhood has been forgotten. But the price is permanent. Think of it this way. Would you send a toddler to run a marathon because they love to run? No. Their skeleton isn't ready. Neither is your puppy's. Exercise is vital, but balance is survival. The solution is measured care. Short, frequent play instead of exhausting marathons. Gentle walks, soft ground training that builds the brain as much as the body. Let growth plates close before heavy strain. Let youth be joyful, not sabotaged. And if overexercising sounds dangerous, wait until you learn what happens when the signals of distress are ignored. Because mistake number 19 doesn't break bones, it breaks trust between you and the only voice your dog has, his behavior. Mistake 19. Ignoring the red flags. You see it and brush it off. He growls when touched, he hides in corners. He suddenly forgets his house training. He's just moody, you say, or worse, he's being stubborn. But dogs don't act without reason. Every snap, every accident, every silence is a message. And when you ignore it, you're not disciplining a bad dog, you're silencing a cry for help. In the wild, showing weakness meant death. Predators circled the limping wolf, the sick coyote. So dogs evolved to mask pain, to cloak illness beneath normalcy. Behavior became their only language of survival. A sudden change isn't defiance. It's alarm bells. A growl may mean arthritis in his spine. Peeing indoors may signal kidney disease. Withdrawal might be depression, loneliness, or hidden cancer. The body speaks, but it speaks through behavior. The tragedy is that most owners punish the symptom instead of treating the cause. They scold for the accident, isolate for the growl, ignore the withdrawal, while the real problem festers invisible and untreated. The solution is awareness. Notice patterns. Ask why not just what. A vet exam before a reprimand. Compassion before correction. Behavior isn't rebellion, it's communication. And listening could mean the difference between catching disease early or burying regret too late. And if ignored signals can destroy health, so can misplaced love. Because mistake number 20 doesn't come from neglect. It comes from thinking affection alone is enough to save a life. Mistake 20. Believing love is enough. You hug him, you kiss his head. You whisper that he's your best friend. And in your heart, you believe love will shield him from everything. But love alone cannot fight parasites. Love cannot clean teeth. Love cannot stop a heart from failing or joints from crumbling. Love without action is a blanket in the rain, warm for a moment, but soaked through before morning. Dogs live in silence, and in that silence they rely on you to translate care into survival. Food measured for health, not indulgence. Walks that feed the body and the mind. Vet visits that uncover what eyes can't see. Grooming that spares hidden pain. Each act is love, made visible love, that extends life instead of shortening it. Too many owners bury their dogs young, clinging to the idea that affection was enough. They remember the cuddles, the wagging tails, the laughter, but forget the skipped vet appointment, the treats given in excess, the subtle signs ignored. Regret becomes the final leash that never breaks. The solution is simple but demanding. Keep loving, but let that love move through your hands and your choices. Structure prevention awareness. These are the true expressions of devotion. Love is the fuel, but action is the vehicle. One without the other leads only to sorrow. And if hearing these 20 mistakes fills you with guilt, good. It means you care. And the hope is this: every single mistake can be undone starting now. The question is, will you change fast enough to give your dog the life he deserves? We've uncovered 20 mistakes that quietly steal years, joy, and health from the dogs who trust us with everything. Maybe you felt a sting of guilt with 1 or 5 or even all of them. Good. That means you care. The worst mistake isn't on this list. It's refusing to change when you know better. The truth is, both heartbreaking and hopeful, every single mistake can be fixed today. Move the food bowl, scrub, the water dish schedule, that vet visit trade punishment for patience. Small changes ripple into years of life, tail wags, longer eyes, brighter walks that don't end too soon. Your dog doesn't have another home, another voice, another chance. You are his entire world, his whole story, his only shield. And when you look into his eyes tonight, know this: he isn't just surviving with you. He's waiting to thrive if you act now. So ask yourself, which mistake will you correct first? Comment below with the number that shocked you most. Share this video with another dog lover you might save a life without even knowing it. And if you found value here, don't stop now. Hit that subscribe button, join this community of dog guardians, and together we'll keep uncovering the hidden truths that make our best friends healthier, happier, and by our side for years longer. Because love is the beginning. Action is the difference. And your dog deserves both. Feeding your dog seems simple, doesn't it? Scoop the kibble, pour it into the bowl, give him a pat, and call it a day. You've done it like that for years. He's never complained. And if he finishes the bowl, that means everything's fine. Right. But here's the thing. What if you've been making small mistakes every single time you feed him? Not because you don't care, but because no one ever told you the truth. Today we're going to walk through 10 dog feeding mistakes that may look harmless on the surface, but could silently impact your dog's health, his energy, and even how long he lives. Some are small, easy to fix. Others, they're deadly. There's one mistake, number 4, that has sent thousands of dogs, especially large breeds, into life-threatening emergencies. And the worst part, it's not about what you feed. It's about when you feed. If you've ever fed your dog before a walk, you need to hear this. And if you've trusted food labels, used the same bowl every day, or just guessed the right portion because he looks okay, then this video might just open your eyes to things no vet ever warned you about. Don't worry, you're not alone. Most owners don't know these things. But after today, you will. So let me ask you, if one small change could protect the one who's protected you for years, would you make it? Let's find out what that change is starting now. Mistake 1. Feeding only once a day. You probably think feeding your dog once a day is just fine. Maybe he's always eaten that way. Maybe he doesn't seem to mind. You give him one big meal and he clears the bowl. No leftovers, no mess. Done. But here's what no one tells you: that single meal might be putting unnecessary stress on his digestive system every single day. When you feed your dog once in 24 hours, his stomach has to handle a huge volume of food all at once. Imagine going all day without eating, then suddenly having to digest a heavy dinner in one sitting. That's not comfort. It's overload. His stomach works overtime, and once it's done, it's left completely empty for the rest of the day. That empty state. It's not just hunger. It can cause acid buildup, irritate the lining of his gut, and leave him feeling uncomfortable without any way to tell you. Have you noticed him licking the floor, pacing at night, or vomiting yellow foam in the early morning? Those could be signs his stomach is producing acid with nothing to digest. You didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't know. Until now. The good news is, this mistake is easy to fix. Just split his food into 2 smaller meals, one in the morning, one in the evening. Same amount overall, just spaced out. You'll be surprised how quickly his digestion evens out, how his energy stabilizes, and how his mood improves. So let me ask you, if the fix is that simple, and the benefit is that big, why not try it tonight? Now, speaking of bowls, let's talk about the next mistake that has nothing to do with nutrition, but everything to do with his mind. Mistake 2. Always using a food bowl. Every day, you pour the food into the same bowl, place it on the floor, and watch him eat. It's quick, it's clean, it's what everyone does. And it works, at least that's what it looks like. But have you ever wondered what's going on in his head while he eats? Or what's missing from that moment? Dogs weren't meant to eat like this. Not originally. Back before they were snoring at the foot of your bed, or sitting shotgun in your truck, they had to work for their food, sniffing, tracking, chasing, solving problems. Their brains were as active as their bodies. And now that mental workout has vanished. The food appears like magic, same time, same place, same bowl. No challenge, no joy, just routine. Now you might think he doesn't seem unhappy. But what if he's just bored? What if that boredom turns into frustration, into chewing on furniture, barking at shadows, or pacing when you're trying to sleep? Not because he's bad, but because he's craving something you didn't know he missed. What if I told you that changing the way you serve his food, not the food itself, could light him up from the inside out? Try hiding the kibble. Scatter it in a towel and let him sniff it out. Use an old muffin tin with tennis balls over each cup. Let him figure it out. You're not spoiling him. You're giving him back something nature took thousands of years to build: his instinct to hunt, to solve, to work for reward. So here's the question. Would you enjoy the same meal on the same plate every single day for 10 years? Neither would he. And if changing how he eats could change how he feels, isn't that worth exploring? All right. That one was about the mind. But the next mistake. It's about the body and what happens when you give too much love, in the form of too much food. Mistake 3. Overfeeding. Without realizing, you love your dog. That's not up for debate. You show it in the way you talk to him, pet him, sit beside him. And yes, sometimes in the way you feed him. A little extra scoop here, a few treats during the day, maybe some leftovers, because those eyes are just too hard to say no to. It feels like kindness. But what if that kindness is quietly weighing him down? Overfeeding isn't always about the main meal. It's the tiny extras, the training snacks, the table scraps, the crunchy little bits handed out just because. Each one feels harmless. But they add up. And dogs, especially as they get older, don't burn calories like they used to. What starts as a full belly becomes extra weight. And extra weight. It's not just about size. It's about stress on the joints, the heart, the pancreas. Did you know that canine diabetes is on the rise? That overweight dogs are at higher risk for arthritis, heart disease, and even certain cancers? And here's the twist. Most of their owners had no idea they were overfeeding at all. So ask yourself this. Do you actually measure how much food goes into that bowl each day? Do you subtract the treats you've already given? Or do you just eyeball it? You don't need to starve him. That's not what this is about. It's about balance, about love that also protects. Start with the feeding guideline on the bag, then take a good look at everything else he eats between sunup and bedtime. Because the truth is, a dog at his ideal weight doesn't just live longer, he moves easier, breathes better, and enjoys more days by your side. And if a measuring cup is all it takes, isn't that worth it? Next up, a mistake that has nothing to do with how much, but when you feed. And trust me, this one can be deadly. Mistake 4. Feeding before walks. You wake up, he stretches, wags his tail, waits by the bowl. So you feed him. Then clip on the leash and head out like always. Seems like a good routine. But what if that order, just those few minutes, could mean the difference between a normal day and a rushed trip to the emergency vet? Feeding before a walk sounds harmless. But when a dog eats especially a big meal, his body shifts blood to the stomach to help digestion. Now, imagine taking him for a walk, or worse, letting him run before that process is finished. His stomach is full, jostling, working, and now under pressure. That's when things can go wrong. Have you ever heard of gastric torsion? Most people call it bloat. It starts when gas builds up in the stomach. But in severe cases, the stomach doesn't just swell, it twists. Blood flow cuts off. Organs shut down. Dogs collapse. And it happens fast. Minutes can make the difference. You might be thinking, that's rare, right? But here's what matters. It's most common in large, deep-chested dogs, and it's often triggered by exercise right after eating. If you've got a shepherd, a retriever, a Great Dane, even a senior lab, this is the part you can't ignore. So ask yourself, when do you feed right before walks? Do you rush through morning routines without waiting? It's okay. You didn't know. But now you do. The fix is simple. Walk first, then feed. Or if feeding first is unavoidable, give it at least an hour before any movement. That small shift in timing could save your dog's life. So, what time is dinner tomorrow? And now that we've talked about timing, let's look inside the food bowl. Because the next mistake might be hiding in the fine print on the label. Mistake 5. Not checking ingredients. You pick up the same bag of kibble every month. Same brand, same price, same promises printed on the front, real chicken complete nutrition vet recommended. And because it's worked for years, you trust it. But have you ever turned that bag around? Have you actually looked at what's inside? Because here's the hard truth. Not all dog food is created equal. Some of it is built more for shelf life than for health. And what sounds good on the front label might not hold up when you read the fine print. Have you ever noticed words like meat meal or byproducts? Do you know what they mean? They're not just meat. They're what's left after the real meat is stripped away. Bones, feathers, tissue. You wouldn't eat yourself. And then there are preservatives. BHT, BHA, ethoxyquin. Chemicals that have been banned or restricted in human food, yet still show up in your dog's bowl. You're not a scientist. You're not expected to memorize every term. But you are his guardian. And the ingredients you choose go straight into his bloodstream, his joints, his kidneys. So next time you're holding that bag, ask yourself, can you pronounce what's in it? Do you know where the protein really comes from? Is that chicken actually chicken? Or just leftover parts from a factory line? It only takes a few minutes to read a label. Look for real meat as the first ingredient, chicken, beef, salmon, not vague terms. Avoid artificial preservatives. Choose foods that list fruits and vegetables you recognize. Because the food you trust should be worthy of the one who trusts you most. Now we've talked about what's in the bowl. But what if I told you there's one more thing just as important, and that's matching the food to your dog's age? Mistake 6. Not adjusting food. Based on age. You've been feeding him the same food since he was a pup. He liked it then. He still eats it now. So you figure, why change what works? But here's the thing about dogs, just like us. Their bodies change with time. And what used to work might now be wearing him down without you even realizing it. Puppies need different fuel. Their bodies are growing fast bones, stretching organs, developing. They need more fat, more protein, more phosphorus. If you're still feeding adult kibble to a 5-month-old pup, he might be missing crucial support for those early months. And on the other end of the leash, if your best friend is getting gray around the muzzle, moving slower, sleeping more, his body isn't processing food the way it used to. Digestive enzymes slow down. Metabolism drops. Extra calories, they stick. And all that unused energy turns into fat strain and silent damage. So let me ask, do you know when your puppy becomes an adult, or when your adult becomes a senior? Most people guess. Few ever ask. But missing that window could mean years of improper nutrition. A good rule: puppies should switch to adult food when they reach about 80% of their full size. Seniors, usually around age 7, need formulas with fewer calories, easier to digest ingredients, and joint support built in. It's not about fancy brands or price tags. It's about giving your dog what his body needs right now, not what he needed 5 years ago. He's still your same companion, still looks at you the same way. But inside, things are shifting, and the right food at the right time could mean more healthy years by your side. Now, what if we told you the next mistake isn't about bags or brands at all, but about what's cooking in your own kitchen? Mistake 7. Not considering homemade meals. You've thought about it, haven't you? Looked at that dry kibble in the bowl and wondered, is this really the best I can give him? Maybe you've seen those videos. Dogs eating cooked meals, meat and rice and vegetables all fresh. And for a second, you imagine doing that too. But then the doubt kicks in. What if you mess it up? What if he doesn't get enough of something important? What if it's too expensive, too time-consuming, too complicated? So you stick with the bag. Because it's easy. Because it's safe. Because it says complete and balanced on the label. But here's the truth. Homemade meals don't have to be complicated. They just have to be thoughtful. And more owners are making the switch. Not because kibble is evil, but because they want control. They want to know exactly what's going into their dog's body. No mystery powders. No chemical names. No wondering what meat meal really means. Have you ever tasted what your dog eats? Would you want to eat it every day? If the answer's no, maybe it's time to consider something better. You don't have to do it all at once. Start small. Cook a little chicken. Add some rice. Mix in carrots or sweet potato. There are simple online calculators that help you balance the nutrients based on his size, breed, and age. You can even mix it with his kibble at first. Half and half, just to start. Because feeding isn't just about convenience, it's about connection. And there's something powerful in giving your dog a meal you made with your own hands. Now, if you think food is love, let's talk about speed. Because the next mistake, it's not about what you feed him, but how fast he eats it. Mistake 8. Feeding too fast. He hears the food hit the bowl, and in seconds, it's gone. No chewing, no pausing, no slowing down, just gulp, gulp, gone. Maybe you've smiled thinking he must really love it. But have you ever stopped to wonder why he eats like that? And more importantly, what it's doing to his body? Fast eating might look harmless, even cute. But it can be a red flag. When dogs eat too quickly, they swallow air along with their food. That air builds up, causing bloating discomfort, and in some cases, vomiting. You ever seen him cough after eating spit-up foam, lick the floor minutes later like he's still hungry? That's not just hunger, It's his gut reacting to the speed, not the portion. Some dogs eat fast because they were raised in shelters or had to compete for food. Others do it out of habit. But the result is the same, a digestive system constantly under pressure. And here's the question: if you knew he was hurting from how fast he eats, would you slow him down? Thankfully, the fix is gentle and simple. You don't need fancy tools. Just spread his food out. Use a licking mat. Scatter kibble on a towel or baking sheet. Anything that makes him pause, sniff, solve, chew. You're not just slowing his meal, you're calming his body and his mind. Because feeding isn't a race. It's a ritual. One that should leave him satisfied, not struggling. So next time you watch him eat, don't just see a fast tail. Watch his mouth, his breathing, his pace, and ask yourself, does he look full or frantic? Let's keep going. The next mistake. It's got nothing to do with how he eats, but when and how often. Mistake 9. Inconsistent meal times. Some mornings you're up early, he gets breakfast by 6. Other days it's 9. Sometimes dinner's right after your own. Sometimes it's hours later. And maybe he waits patiently. Maybe he doesn't complain. But here's the thing he notices. Every time. Dogs don't wear watches, but they know the rhythm of your life better than you do. Their internal clocks are sharper than you think. And when you shift their feeding times around without warning, without reason, you're not just changing a habit. You're disrupting their entire system. You ever feel off when you skip lunch or eat too late? That drop in energy, the irritability, the restlessness, dogs feel that too. And over time, irregular feeding can lead to spikes in hunger hormones, stress-related behaviors, and even digestive issues. You might notice him pacing before meals, whining unexpectedly, or vomiting bile early in the morning. That's not just sensitivity, it's confusion. So let me ask you, do you have a set time to feed him, or do you just fit it in between your own schedule? He doesn't ask for much. A full bowl, a gentle voice, a little consistency. That's what builds trust. That's what helps his body regulate. Same time every day gives his stomach a rhythm. It teaches his brain what to expect. It makes his world feel safe. And for a creature who gives you everything, his loyalty, his energy, his quiet presence, that's not too much to ask. Now that you've thought about when you feed, let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed, especially with older dogs. It's not about timing. It's not about ingredients. It's about something far more subtle and easy to fix. Mistake 10. Forgetting to hydrate food for seniors. He still goes to the bowl, still finishes his food, still looks at you with the same eyes. So you assume everything's fine. But have you ever stopped to notice how he eats? Is he chewing slower, drinking less, leaving the water bowl untouched for hours? These are small signs, but they're trying to tell you something. As dogs age, their sense of smell weakens, their teeth wear down, their kidneys become more sensitive. And yet many senior dogs still eat the same dry kibble they've had for years, hard, dehydrated, and demanding more from their bodies than you'd think. You ever tried eating dry toast with a dry throat? That's how it can feel for him. But he won't complain. He'll just keep eating through the discomfort, because that's what dogs do. And here's where the mistake happens, not out of neglect, but routine. You keep feeding the same way, not realizing his body isn't absorbing moisture like it used to. Dehydration sneaks in, digestion slows, organs strain, and what looks like he's doing fine might just be him adapting to something he shouldn't have to. So here's a simple question. When was the last time you added water to his food? A splash of warm broth, a drizzle of water, just enough to soften the kibble, make it easier to chew, easier to digest. It brings out the smell, makes the meal feel new, and most importantly, it hydrates. Quietly, effectively. Because sometimes caring isn't about doing more. It's about doing softer. Now that you've seen all 10 mistakes, there's one final thing left to talk about. Not food, not timing, not labels, but the deeper reason behind all of this. Why feeding right isn't just about health, but about something far more human. You've just walked through 10 mistakes. Some big, some small, some you probably didn't even know were mistakes. But now you do. Maybe you've been feeding him once a day, because it fits your routine. Maybe the bowl hasn't changed in 10 years. Maybe you've given him an extra scoop now, and then thinking it was love. Maybe you've trusted the label, ignored the age skipped, the water rushed the walk. Not because you didn't care, but because no one ever told you otherwise. And still, he stays by your side. Every morning, every evening, still looking at you like you're his entire world. Because to him, you are. But here's the part that matters. Feeding him isn't just keeping him alive. It's how you say, I see you. It's how you say you matter. It's how you say, without words, you're not just a dog. You're my family. Have you ever thought about that? That every time you fill his bowl, you're doing something sacred. That the way you feed him is one of the clearest windows into how much you love him. He may never speak, but his body does. It tells you when he's thriving. It tells you when something's wrong. And now that you know what to look for, you'll see it. In the way he breathes, the way he moves, the way he rests after a meal, instead of pacing in discomfort. So here's my question. What will you change first? Will you soften his food tonight? Will you try feeding a little earlier or a little slower? Or with a bit more curiosity about what's really in that bag? Will you start measuring? Will you switch up the routine, not because you have to, but because you finally understand what it means? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Because in the end, it's not about 10 mistakes. It's about one truth he gives you every piece of his trust. And now, with just a few small changes, you can give him more years to keep giving it. That's love. Quiet, daily, unseen by most, but everything to him. If this video helped you see even one thing differently, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who loves their dog like you do. Or just leave a comment below with the one mistake you realized today. Not for me, for the next dog owner who's still in the dark. And if you're ready to go deeper, click on the next video now. You'll learn 30 things your dog wishes you knew, but can't say out loud. Trust me, he's been waiting for you to know. Do you think you're truly loving your dog every single day? Then why? Do their eyes sometimes look so heartbreakingly sad? I know, you'd never mean to hurt them. But maybe, just maybe, there are little things you do on repeat every single day, without realizing. And those tiny actions are quietly tiring out their heart more than you'd ever imagine. According to research from the University of Portsmouth, dogs are capable of expressing emotions even more than we are. They understand, they feel, and yes, they get hurt. In this video, I want to take you through 9 seemingly harmless things that may be slowly breaking your dog's heart. A little more each day. And the last one is something that's brought tears of regret to many dog owners who realized it too late. If you've ever felt like you're not doing enough, if you've ever looked into your dog's eyes and saw something unspoken, then this video is made for you. And if you're like me, someone who wants to understand their dog better with each passing day, then maybe we should walk this journey together, just a little longer. Have you ever yelled at your dog without meaning to, just because you were having a rough, frustrating day? I have. And the look in their eyes that day, I couldn't forget it for weeks. Dogs don't understand why we're angry, but they feel our angry tone, our cold stare, the heavy energy we carry when we lose control. With hearing 4 times more sensitive than ours, a raised voice to them can feel like a blow to the soul. You think you're teaching, but what they feel is being pushed away from love. There's a sentence I always remind myself of. When you lash out, you're teaching them to fear you, not to understand you. And once fear enters their heart, they begin to drift away from you, quietly, even while lying right next to you. But worse than yelling is being inconsistent. One day you let them on the couch, the next day you get mad about the mess. Yesterday you gave them a treat when they acted clingy. Today you snap, "Stop it," for the exact same thing. Dogs crave clarity. That's how they feel safe, understood, and loved. Imagine if the person you trusted the most hugged you today, and tomorrow ignored you for no reason. How would that feel? Sometimes love doesn't come from cuddles or words. Sometimes it comes from boundaries that are gently and consistently upheld. I keep a specific blanket on the couch. When it's there, my dog knows it's okay to jump up. Just that one small thing helps them feel like they belong, not like they're being judged on a whim. The feeling of belonging is something every living being craves. And that feeling gets chipped away every time we push them aside just because we're busy. To a dog, we are their whole world. So when we stop playing, stop hugging, stop engaging, it's not just "my human is busy," it's "maybe I'm not important anymore." That's when they start barking endlessly, chewing furniture, or destroying things, not because they're bad, but because they're crying out, "Please don't cast me out of the pack." I saw a dog once who sighed all day long because their owner changed work shifts and no longer played in the afternoon. When the owner began spending just 10 minutes cuddling every night, everything changed. That's all it took. A bit of understanding, a tiny shift, and their eyes sparkled again like the first day you brought them home. But even that sparkle will fade if they live in a world without a safe space. Just like us, dogs need a quiet spot where they can simply rest and be. But not everyone thinks about that. Some dogs live with non-stop TV noise, loud kids, and zero privacy to lie down without being called or touched. I once placed a soft blanket under my desk. Ever since, my dog goes there every time they feel tired. Nobody tells them to. Nobody calls them. They just know. It's a place where peace lives. Studies show that dogs with a dedicated safe spot have steadier heart rates, sleep more deeply, and bond closer to their humans. We don't need to build them a castle. We just need to give them a small space that whispers, "Here, you're free to be exactly who you are." And once you've given them that sanctuary, don't confuse them with mixed signals. Many people love their dogs deeply, but still send chaos through their communication. Every command sounds different. Hands wave all over the place. Eyes look in another direction. It's just habit for us, but for them, it's overwhelming noise. Dogs don't understand words the way we do. They learn through patterns, gestures, and energy. If today you say, "Come here," in a gentle voice with your left hand, but tomorrow you shout, "Come," while pointing with your right, how are they supposed to know what you want? They don't need powerful commands. They need consistency, clarity, and kindness. I always keep this quote in my heart. Dogs don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be consistent and gentle. And even if you do all that, communicate clearly, create safe spaces, show love the right way, there's still one little thing that makes a massive emotional difference: not letting them sniff. It sounds strange, doesn't it? But for dogs, a walk isn't just exercise. It's a moment to read the world. Every smell on the grass, every scent on a tree, it's how they process stories. Each patch of dirt is a news headline. Every unfamiliar scent is a new adventure. And when you tug the leash, hurry them along, or stop them from sniffing, it's like forcing someone to walk through a beautiful city with their eyes closed. Studies show that dogs allowed to sniff freely extend their walk time by up to 40%. Not because they're tired, but because they're happy. A free nose means a calm heart. And sometimes, when your dog refuses to walk, lies around all day, or won't eat, it's not tiredness, it's sadness. Dogs don't cry like us. They don't talk, but they turn away, skip meals, curl up for hours, or stop playing with the toys they once loved. Many people shrug and say, maybe they're just lazy today, not realizing that silence might be their loudest scream. Dogs have gloomy days too. They feel confused. They feel disappointed. And in those moments, what they need isn't a behavior fix. It's for you to sit beside them, stroke their head, and say, "I'm right here." There's a line I'll never forget. Dogs don't need answers. They just need your loving presence. But sometimes, even out of love, we get it backwards. We force them into constant photos and videos. You think your dog is adorable, and they are. But if every time they nap, you lift their face for a selfie, or every time they finish eating, you say, "Pose," that's not love. That's performance. I once saw a Pomeranian who turned their head away every time a phone was raised. Not because they were grumpy, but because they'd learned cameras mean pressure. One peaceful moment is often worth more than a picture-perfect shot. We love our dogs, but let them be dogs. Let them yawn when they're sleepy, get dirty playing in the mud, look ugly when they sprawl across the floor. True love doesn't need a filter. And finally, maybe the hardest truth of all, is this. We sometimes ignore tiny changes in their behavior. Yesterday, they ran around happily. Today, they lie still. You touch their back leg, and they flinch. They used to chew toys. They don't care anymore. Even one of those changes, repeated over a few days, is a sign to look deeper. Because so many emotional or health issues in dogs begin with something small. I once knew a golden retriever with arthritis. The owner didn't notice for 2 months because the dog still smiled. Just a little lazier than usual, they said. But dogs don't say, "I'm hurting." They just get quieter, slower, and more distant. Don't wait until it's too late to realize. The silence of a dog can sometimes be a desperate cry for help. So here we are, having walked together through things that seem small, but could be breaking your dog's heart a little each day, without you even knowing. You want to be a better dog parent, don't you? Then start by listening more, observing closely, and giving a little more gentleness. If today you realized something needs to change, then you've already done something beautiful. You're loving them better than you did yesterday. And if you want to keep walking this journey of becoming their best friend, then I'll still be here, sharing a few small stories each week. You can come back anytime you want, or subscribe, so the next story finds you when you're ready. Because for me, and probably for you too, they're not just a dog. They're family. and family, always deserves to be loved with a full heart.